Hello friends, Black Panther has broken a new boundary, becoming the first superhero movie to earn a Best Picture Oscar nomination, ever. And no, that movie about an ex-superhero actor who is depressed because nobody takes him serious as an artist, blah blah blah, that doesn't count as a superhero movie. Nice try, Michael Keaton. You almost got one past me. This week on Heat Vision Breakdown, we look at how Black Panther could chart a path to Oscar Gold, and also revisit the Academy's long, misguided history of ignoring comic book movies. Yes, I'm still on Over the Dark Knight getting snubbed. In addition to its historic Best Picture nom, Black Panther earned 6 other Oscar nominations, including for score, original song, costume design, production design, sound editing, and sound mixing. You know, the biggies. The question many fans will be asking now is how it can chart a path to a Best Pick victory. There are a few obstacles. First, Ryan Coogler did not land a directing nomination. That's a pretty big hurdle, as only 4 films in Oscars history have won Best Picture without having received a directing nomination. Ben Affleck was the most recent example for Argo in 2013, just a few months before he was cast in a superhero film as Batman. Coincidence? You be the judge. By the time the Oscars are handed out this year, Black Panther will be more than a year old, so Disney will also have the challenge of keeping the film fresh in voters' minds. So far, Disney and Marvel have hosted receptions and screenings to court voters. A key thing to hammer home may be just how revolutionary this film really was, and why this really is a movie that captures our current moment as a society. Black Panther killed the tired Hollywood myth that films with black casts don't earn money overseas. It made nearly half of its $1.3 billion abroad. It showed a vision of Afrofuturism in a way never before seen on screen, and it brought Ryan Coogler's voice to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in a movie he managed to make feel personal in a way very few Marvel movies do. The Academy has been reluctant to reward comic book movies in the major categories in the past. Heath Ledger won a posthumous Oscar for The Dark Knight, but that film's Best Picture nomination snub was so controversial that it in part is credited with the Academy expanding the category to up to 10 nominations. Host Hugh Jackman even joked about the snub while hosting, through the majesty of song.
Everyone went to see The Dark Knight. What am I doing you think is not right?
Thanks for that, Hugh. Just about every Marvel movie features an Oscar winner these days, and Oscar-caliber actors working in comic book movies is nothing new. Marlon Brando had won acting Oscars for On the Waterfront and The Godfather before playing Jor-El in 1978's Superman. Gene Hackman, that film's Lex Luthor, had already won for 1971's The French Connection. A decade later, when Jack Nicholson put on the clown makeup to play the Joker, he'd already won Oscars for 1975's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and 1983's Terms of Endearment. Christopher Walken, an Oscar winner for 1978's The Deer Hunter, followed suit with a villainous turn in Batman Returns. Tommy Lee Jones had just won an Oscar for 1993's The Fugitive when he signed on to play Two-Face in Batman Forever, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. That's not to say that all of these comic book movies have been worthy of a Best Picture Oscar. I mean, we've seen Batman Forever. You can't unsee that movie. But there's a legitimate argument to be made that over the past decade plus, there have been multiple comic book movies every bit as good as the films nominated for Best Picture. Isn't it just as challenging to make a compelling Guardians of the Galaxy movie or Logan than it is to make a period piece or a by-the-numbers biopic? How many Best Picture nominees of the past decade will have the lasting cultural impact of a Wonder Woman or an Avengers? Seriously, when was the last time you sat down and watched Amour or War Horse? Be honest. Tell me. When? Black Panther's Best Picture nomination is also an acknowledgement of the impact of Marvel's Kevin Feige. Thank you, he got nominated for an Oscar, I feel like I should say his name right. Who has been nominated for shockingly few awards given his footprint in Hollywood. What other producer outside of perhaps Jason Blum has—
Oh God, it's Jason Blum.
Oh, shoot. What other producer outside of perhaps Jason Blum has so many execs green with envy? Though Black Panther has cleaned up in Oscar nominations, Ryan Coogler still does not have a personal one. Though at only 32 years of age, there's no doubt that he has multiple Best Director nominations to look forward to in the future. And we have a whole bunch of great films to look forward to as well. We should also point out that Sony's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Pixar's Incredibles 2 both earned Best Animated Film noms, meaning 3 separate superhero films are up for Best Picture categories for the first time ever! Hooray! And let's be honest, it's Spider-Man's award to lose. Though it's highly unlikely that Black Panther will take home the night's biggest prize at the 91st Academy Awards, what the film has done for the genre of superhero movies should not be ignored. For years, Caped Crusaders have been on the outside looking in, and even great films like Logan and The Dark Knight haven't been able to break through. Lastly, it's important to remember this. Winning Best Picture at the Oscars does not necessarily mean a film was the best or the most impactful film that year. In fact, in recent years, that's been one of the major critiques of the Academy. The last film to win Best Picture and also top the year's box office was Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King in 2004. And if you're old, like me, you'll remember that win came after 2 years of people crying snub for the first 2 entries in the fantasy series. To be honest, superheroes already rule Hollywood. In terms of box office dollars, films in production, and cultural impact, no other genre really comes close. The fact that a superhero film would eventually get a Best Picture nomination was inevitable, but it wasn't Superman, Spider-Man, or even Batman that made it happen. It was a young director working with a lesser-known hero that finally busted through that barrier, and there's no looking back now. So what do you guys think? Does Black Panther have a shot at winning Best Picture at this year's Academy Awards? Let us know in the comments right down there. Don't forget to subscribe and join us here every Friday morning for new episodes of Heat Vision Breakdown. Thanks again, Hugh Jackman. It was nice to see you again.